Black Ops. You see it. Let's get it. The SEC breach disclosure rules raise concerns about tipping off hackers to flawed systems. So long story short, we're about to get an article. If you're a public company and you get breached, you got 4 days to report it. So after 4 days, of course, you might not have everything fixed. You might not even have your company on site to help you remediate the vulnerability. So let's get into the article. SEC breach disclosure rules raise concerns about tipping off hackers to flawed systems. New rules require publicly traded companies, so let's hit that again, publicly traded companies to disclose cybersecurity breaches within 4 days of them being deemed material, right? So if it's a big breach or a substantial breach, right? Material, we're talking about the SEC, we're talking about your filings and your publicly traded document. That's going to move your stock price, right? If you get hit for $100 million and you got to pay $100 million to fix it, that's material in your company. So once again, let's get into it. The Securities and Exchange Commission approved rules on Wednesday that require publicly traded companies to disclose cybersecurity breaches that pose a material risk to the firm's bottom line. While many companies already disclose breaches, the SEC's new rule aims to bring greater transparency and consistency to information available to investors. Where a company loses a factory in a fire or millions of files in a cybersecurity incident, it may be material to investors, SEC Chairman Gary Gensler said in a statement. The rules, which are set to take effect 30 days after they are published in the Federal Register, requires companies to disclose breaches 4 days after they are deemed material. The disclosure regimen represents a potential major shift in how public companies disclose computer breaches now. Security and legal experts caution that determining what types of breaches are material require reporting may pose a challenge for some firms that are rushing to alert investors about breaching before they, like we talked about, remediated could be companies at risk. Right before they could be remedied, could put the companies at risk. So you trying to fix your hacker, fix your holes, fix your vulnerabilities, and once again, you're going to tell people, your systems are open for attack. The public nature of disclosure and tight timelines is what could expose companies to additional risk. A counsel at the Center of Cybersecurity Policy and Law, while Geiger recommended regulators growing emphasis on disclosure, he said that Wednesday's rule may have unintended consequences. Companies are already subject to a patchwork of disclosure requirements, but the SEC's new rules differ from one marked respective. Breach disclosures will be public in an 8K form filed with the commission and made available to investors. Within 4 days of determining that a breach is material, the company may or may not have expelled the attack and patched the vulnerabilities or the vectors that caused the incidents in the first place. Disclosure of a breach may tip off other attackers to vulnerable systems. If an attacker remains in the affected system, they may attempt to grab whatever data is available to them and burn down any infrastructure that they have access to. Public traded companies are already required to reveal information deemed material to investors, but Wednesday's rule shortened the timeline for companies must disclose breaches deemed material and also require that they provide an annual report on their cybersecurity risk management strategy. Right. So shout out to GRC. That's going to probably have more jobs, or at least consulting type of jobs, because once again, that's going to be more pressure on public companies, which are large, and they have to do it. If the SEC says you have to do it, right? That's an additional cost, though. Rules adopted Wednesday include the possibility of extending the timeline disclosures if the United States Attorney General determines that the disclosure poses a risk to national security or public safety. But during the comment period, U.S. companies interested push for far greater leniency in the disclosure timeline. 4 days is awful quick. Cybersecurity expert cautioned Wednesday's rule will require firms to overhaul how they think about breaches and that they may be poorly prepared to determine what's needed to be disclosed to investors. Business will have to translate bits and bytes of cyber risk into dollars and cents of material or business risk. The CEO say security, most of the organizations are not prepared to comply with the SEC guidelines as they cannot determine materiality. So when you get first hacked, it's kind of hard to figure out, okay, what's the damage? What's the fix? You haven't got your cybersecurity on site, so they really can't give you a dollar amount of what they think is going to fix. And a lot of times, those big breaches can cost you 10, 20, or even $100 million to get them remediated. So once again, SEC breach disclosure rules raise concern. The new disclosure breach is within 4 days. So once again, that's different. In each regulation, GDPR has a different time. This has a different time. I do IRS work. A lot of people go on 24-hour notice, 48, 72, but that gives them time to figure out what's going on. So I don't think they would actually call it a breach. A lot of times we call it an event. Sometimes it's going to take 3 or 4 days to figure out if anything got stolen, who breached you. Once again, what's the material, or how much do we believe that a hack is going to cost us in dollars? Once again, Professor Blackouts, please subscribe. GRC, look like it's going to be more jobs out there.